Okay. In today's lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to take that quadratic shape, that's the parabola shape, and we're just going to take a very basic one that is y equals x squared. And we're going to take that basic y equals x squared, and based on the equation we're given, we'll either move it to the right, we'll move it to the left, or we'll move it up, or we'll move it down. So the goal is to not have to build a table of values every single time in this method. So let's start off at the very top of the paper. This says another form of the quadratic equation for graphing is f of x equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k. This equation format relies on shifting the graph of y equals x squared. All the shifts or movements are based on the graph of y equals x squared. The first bullet. H shifts the graph horizontally, so left or right. And for example, if h equals 3, because it's a positive 3, you would shift your graph right 3 units. The second bullet, k shifts the graph vertically, or up and down. And if k was a negative 2, then we would move the graph down 2 units. And a third piece, the third bullet, if a is negative, then the graph is flipped over the x-axis and it's opening down. If a is positive, it's the standard opening up. So we always have to know the basic graph of y equals x squared. That's critical. You have to kind of memorize that graph of y equals x squared. And the ordered pairs are shown in the table below. It has the tables with x values ranging from -2 up to +2, just to give us kind of a good U shape. Notice it says, notice the seems like that next sentence is kind of off. Oh, I see. Notice from the vertex, the -1, +1, which is the second row, and the 1, 1, which is the fourth row, are left or right 1 and up 1 from the vertex. I'll pull this screen up in a bit so you can see that. And then the ordered pair -2, 4 and the ordered pair 2, 4, they're left 2 and up 4 from the vertex. And the reason that I point out that left 1 or right 1, up 1 or up 4 is based on the quadratic, that if I take 1 and square it, I get 1, so if I'm going left 1 and square it, I get a 1, so I go up 1. While if I'm going left 2 and square it, that would tell me that I'm going up 4. And it helps me remember this table a little bit, and it connects it back to the fact that we have an x squared in our parabola. So here's our graph that we're going to memorize. On the right-hand side here, this is the graph of y equals x squared. You can see that it has a vertex at 0, and then the other 4 ordered pairs that were in that table is the ordered pair 1, 1, and directly left from that is the ordered pair -1, 1. So if we look at the vertex, and we also look at the point 1, 1, we can notice from the vertex, I can go over 1 to the right and up 1. And likewise, from the vertex, I can go left 1 and up 1 to get my ordered pair -1, 1. The other ordered pair that's pretty easy to find, as the table of values indicated, is the ordered pair 2, 4. The ordered pair 2, 4 from the vertex is left 2 and then up 4, because we square the 2 to get 4. The fifth ordered pair that's easy to find is if I go left 2, which is a -2, and I square it, I get 4. There's another set of ordered pairs in here that I didn't list in the table, and that would be 3, 9. If I go right 3 and square the 3, I get a 9. And likewise, if I go to the vertex and I go left 3 and square it, I go up 9. So that's the foundational graph. We got to kind of memorize that graph. And now what we do is we move it left or right. Okay. Any questions before I jump into number 1? Okay, so on number 1, the first thing that I notice is this starts off with an x squared, which is good, but then it has a -4 after it. And as you look at the top of your paper, the top of the paper had said f of x equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k. Those three letters are important to identify so you know the direction of your graph, if you're going to move it left or right or up or down, and if you're going to flip it at all or not. Okay, so using this general format, we can identify what the a value is in our equation. Okay, the a value is a silent 1 because there was no number in front of x squared. So it's 1 because it was a silent 1 in front of x squared. Now that a value is positive, which is going to tell us that our parabola will open up, like the picture that we already have. Okay, so our parabola is going to open up. The next value we want to identify is h. We will notice that in our equation, g of x equals x squared minus 4, there's no parenthesis. Because there's no parenthesis, our h value is 0, and that means we have no movement left or right. So no left or right movement. Any questions on A or H? To summarize so far, this black graph is actually the graph that we would use so far. Because our A is 1, so we're opening up. Our H is 0, so we're not moving it left or right. So far, this black parabola would be our graph. But our K value is at the very end of the equation. It's the -4 that I have an arrow under it. And so k equals -4, which means we're going to shift our graph down 4 units. We're going to physically take the black parabola and shift it down 4 units. When I shift it down 4 units, I usually focus on my vertex and I bring it down 4 units. So my vertex, the bottom of it, will end up being at the ordered pair 0, -4. That's our vertex. From our vertex, we can know that we need to be right 1 and up 1 for our next point. So if we go right 1, we square it, and we go up 1, that gives us our next point. There's symmetry in parabolas. Okay, there's symmetry in parabolas, so this point that's on the right is also going to occur on the left. And we can see that that would be true if I go back to my vertex and I go left 1, square it, and go up 1. Okay, that's really not enough points to draw a U shape. With those points, you're probably more likely to draw a V. So we go back to our vertex, and this time we go right 2, and we square that mentally, which is 4, so we go up 4. If I go right 2 and up 4, that happens to be a point right on the x-axis, which happens to be the ordered pair 2, 0. So if Math Excel asked you what is an x-intercept, you could write down 2, 0. There's symmetry in parabolas. So we can take that same concept of going from the vertex left 2 and up 4. And now we have 5 points so that we could graph our parabola. If you are a detailed person, you want more points, you can go back to your vertex. You can go right 3 and up 9. So once we have that graph in there, it's pretty nice to be able to see the connection between the original y equals x squared printed in black and now our new g of x equals x squared minus 4. We can visually see that that parabola was just shifted down 4 units. What questions do you have about shifting this graph?